how we are going to install our Magento application. We will be using Warden for installing Magento onto our local machine, and Warden will help us to create the local DevBox environment. First of all, to install Warden, I'll be doing these activities on my Mac machine. So I'll just open my terminal, I'll just open my item, and you would see that you just need to run brew install warden. So you run this. If you have homebrew installed already, this would work, but if you don't have homebrew, then you can just install homebrew first and then run this command. And because I have Warden installed already, so it's asking me to reinstall, but if you don't have, it will just install the application. It's very simple. Then you need to run warden svc up. This would set up the Warden. I've already run this command as well, so that way your local machine would have Warden. Now the key thing is how we install all the dependencies for Magento. So with these two commands, you would have Warden on your local machine. Now let's go to the Warden documentation. In here, go for Magento, search Magento, and maybe in the environment, yeah, under here let's click on installing Magento 2. So on your local machine you can create a sites folder. Under that you can have an example project, and then you can go to that example project directory and run warden environment init the example project, which is the directory name that you have created, and Magento 2, that's the application. And based on that Magento 2, it would create a .env file that would have all the required things that you need to create the Warden containers. So let's do it. Let's go back to our terminal. Let's do mkdir. Under sites folder, I want to create a folder called let's say LTS hub. Let's do this. Let's go under LTS hub, and let me show you ls-la, and there is no .env file in here. Because we are in here, we just need to copy this command and run this, but make sure that you change this example project to the folder that you created. So I'll just copy paste in here to be safe, and this is LTS hub. Okay, and I'll just paste it here, and I run this command. I'll again run ls-la. You see .env file is here now. Now let's do nano.env, and you see all of these things available in our env file. I'll do Control X now. Let's go back to our Warden documentation. This env file is ready. It's asking us to sign the certificate so that we can run the project via SSL. I'll just change this example project to LTS hub again. I'll just copy this. I'll paste it in here. Warden self-signing the certificate for LTS hub.test. .test is the default domain that would be used for running your local application. Now I'm done with this. It has created all the needed things. It created the certificate for me. Now I just need to run warden env up. So I'll run this command, and that's where it starts creating the containers for me. And so what it is doing essentially is creating a PHP FPM for debugging, Nginx, Varnish as well, OpenSearch rather than Elasticsearch, a Redis, RabbitMQ, and a database container. So all of those containers would be created. Let me run ls-la in here now, and you see I have a pub directory because this directory has been mounted inside these containers so that I can run my application. I'll go back and I'll run warden shell, which means I just want to SSH into the web server. So I'll run warden shell, and in here if I run ls-la, you see that we are under war www.html folder, which is the folder where we create the application or put the application code so that we can run a website. And pub directory you see automatically created because this directory would be mounted from the outside pub directory. And if I try to do rm-rf pub, I think I am not allowed to because it's mounted from outside, but let's exit from here. Now again I am on my host machine. Next, it asks me to write the composer's auth file with my username and password. To get these username and password, what you can do is you can go to Magento Marketplace. When you go to Adobe Commerce or Magento Marketplace, you just need to sign in. I'll click on sign in. You can sign in with your Adobe ID. It asks you to sign in with Adobe ID, and it brings me there. Now in here you go to my profile, and under my profile you see access keys. And here you can create a new access key. So you just have to create a new access key, give it a name, local mac lts hub, and no white spaces. Okay, so I'll say local lts hub. Let's see if this works. Yeah, and I get my public and private key. These keys are essentially the username and password for getting your Magento application. So it's not your device's username, it's not any other username. These are, username is this public key, password is this private key. Make sure you make a note of this. Now you can just simply copy this, put it into the browser URL, just so that we ensure that when we put it in the terminal, we just not hitting it by accident, and our composer's auth.json is not written with wrong credentials. So I'll just put it here. I'll just run this command, and it changed my composer.json. You can just nano this and see those credentials have been added into the system. I'll change these credentials after this recording, so please don't try to use them. And I'm sure you don't have the time for using them as well. Well, let's go further, and here you would see how you're going to get your Magento package. Okay, now composer create project is the command to create the project, and here is the repository from where we are going to get the Magento application. Meta package and meta version are the version of Magento. So version here is 2.4.x. you can define on top of this. Meta package is Magento Community Edition. So it's defined on the first row, and then second command is using the variable from first row to create the Magento application. You don't have to do this as well. What you can do is, let's just go on Google and search install Magento via Composer. When you do this, you get this quick install Magento from Adobe, and here you would see the Magento command. So for open source you run this command, for commas you run this command. I'll simply copy this. I'll go to my folder. Right now, if you remember, I am in my applications folder. I'm on my host machine. I'll just clear this up. I'm on my host machine at the moment, and in my LTS hub folder. So I'll just run ls-la. So I have .env and pub directory here. If I run composer command right now in my current directory, it will not allow me to do so, because there are a couple of files already available in here. So for temporary purpose, what I'll do is I'll just move .env. Well, let me remove this pub directory. I'll remove this pub, and then I'll just move this .env // so one folder behind, so that this folder has no files and folders now. Let's go back and let's go back and run the command that we just copied from there, and I want to run this command, and rather than installing the Magento in a subdirectory, I want to install in this directory. So I'm adding a dot in here, and as soon as you do this, you would see Magento's code is being pulled by Composer. If you have already done that in past, it would be quite fast for you. If you have not done this recently, it may take some time, depending upon downloading all of these requirements. And all the lines that you see, these are the dependencies. The lines where you see Magento and then module name, that means Magento has created this dependency. There are many other lines where you don't see Magento as the primary name, like Symfony config. These are from the third parties and first parties that Magento uses. And with Composer, It's very easy to manage all of these dependencies. So you know that let's say let's see this. So this particular third party 2.12.0 works well with your 2.4.6 of Magento, and when 2.4.7 of Magento comes in and this dependency update, you just have to run a Composer update. So that's why Composer is the best solution to use Magento. And now all of my dependencies have been pulled in. Now they are being installed. That means they are kind of being get from the packages website and added to my local directory. Let's wait a couple of seconds. It's about to be done. Now meanwhile this is happening, I'll just go back to the Warden, and once you have this run, what it says to you is actually rsync from this temporary folder to www.html, and these commands are supposed to happen within the shell, or within the when you run this command Warden shell, that means you are inside the Magento application. But we are running it outside for now, just so that I can also show you one more feature of Docker to use mute again. So we are running it right now outside machine, but if you can run all these 4 commands together in after doing the SSH into the machine. To do the SSH, you use Warden shell. Okay, now we will just copy this Magento installation command. Okay, and we can run this command, but because we are outside, so we'll do a couple of other things. So we have Magento install. Let me run ls-la. You see that we have a lot of directory files and folders. I'll just go back and I'll move my I don't need to go back, but I'll move my .env file from there to lts hub folder. Let's go back to LTS hub again, ls-la, and you would see that .env is appearing now. Earlier .env was not there because we moved that one folder back. Now why I did that is that you have now the folder structure and you have the env file. So still we are doing a fresh installation, but sometimes you may have already running Magento project. So you can just pull the code of that Magento project and run Warden commands to get this env file in here. And after that, you just run Warden env up. So for an existing project as well, I'm sorry, did I do something wrong? Oh, the spell mistake, Warden env up. So for a new project, when you do this, it doesn't make much sense. But if you have an existing project, all the files that you have copied or on your local machines are available. After that, you're going to create the env file from Warden. And when you do this Warden up, initially it will sync all of your existing files which may have your custom modules and extension to the host machine, this new machine. And this synchronization is happening via mute again. So before starting this installation, I had Composer and Docker installed onto my local machine, and Mutagen is a extension of Docker. Let me go back to the browser. I'll just show you Mutagen Docker. What's the official website? One second. Yeah, mutagen.io. So this is supporting tool for Docker for syncing the files, and it's syncing all the files from outside to inside. Just wanted to show you this that you can do it in your existing projects as well. But again, you can run all of these commands from inside, and you don't if you're doing a fresh installation. Okay. Our files are getting synced from outside to the inside of inside machine, or you can call it the host machine. From host machine, the files are going to the guest machine. Guest machine is the machine which has been created by Docker. I'll repeat a couple of times just so that everyone gets it, but if you understand this, you can just quickly tag along or move along this video. Now I'll do a Warden shell. so that I can SSH into my guest machine, and I will run ls-la to show you that all of these files that I created outside are now available in my guest machine as well. Okay, so next thing is you can just run this installation command, and this is the main installation command to get all the database prepared for Magento and finally install the application. So I'll just copy this and hit the enter. Oh, and you get this error that write permissions are missing, and I think this pub folder don't have a static subfolder right now, so I'll do mkdir pub static. I'll just create this folder and rerun the same command. Let's see. Yeah, it's working and your Magento is getting installed. It's relatively quick, but it depends upon the computing power of your host machine. Sometimes you would see that this is happening, you know, in probably 15-20 minutes as well if you're running multiple Magento projects onto your host. So it says Magento is installed, and we can actually use our URL to check the Magento application. But before we do that, we'll do these activities as well. What it says is Magento bin config set. This is a core Magento command to set the configuration and base URL. So I'll just copy all of these all together so that I have, you know, core Magento features, paste them and hit enter and just wait for them to execute. And here our application is getting installed. Sorry, our application has been installed, and the configurations are being set. Then we will be just reindexing the Magento and flushing the cache. One more thing is that Magento comes with 2FA, so either you can disable 2FA, which I prefer for my local machine, or you can, you go through all of these steps to generate a 2FA token for you. I'll show you how to disable 2FA as well, and that's it. Your application should be ready. And this step is not mandatory to see the front end. So after all of these commands are being executed, yeah, these are done. We'll just go to the browser and run our application. I just copy this URL, I paste it here. We'll just change this example project to LTS hub, because this was the folder name that we created. It asks us to proceed and save, and we'll say okay, we'll proceed and save now. Let's see if this works. I don't know why that tab was not getting refreshed, so I just okay, so I already see something is happening. We still have issue for a certificate that we created, but you should see the Magento's front end loading anytime now. And because this is very first time all the cache is being created, your reverse proxy, which is Varnish, is also storing the content, so it may take some time. Again, it depends upon your processing unit as well. I can see the title in here, homepage already. That means my application is going to work. Meanwhile, this is happening. Oh, this is done. So you can see the Luma theme, the front end of Magento, and your Magento has been installed. And to run the back end of the machine, what you have to do is you just go here. And what was the backend URL? Let's just go back to the Warden and see what we defined for backend. Yeah, the URL was /backend, so you can just go in here and we'll load up the backend. But meanwhile, we do one thing. Yeah, let's go to the Google and do Magento uninstall 2FA. When you run this, you would find this command very easily. I'm just finding the module's name. Yeah, so default module name is Magento 2-factor auth. This module we need to disable. In the latest version of Magento, this module has a hard dependency as well. So when you run this command, it is actually not going to disable it, because it will throw you an error and show you that okay, this module also depend on to XYZ. Oh, the directory is not empty. Okay, it's being written right now, so I'll just run it again. Once again, the directory generated framework cannot be deleted. Okay, it's just giving the permission error in generated folder, so we can give 777 to generated. And you would find permission issues with Magento quite a lot. If you have proper owner and permission setup, then you should not see these issues. So make sure that the web user that you have is the user of your Magento application, as well as you give needed permission in case they are being asked. Let's try one more thing. Let's exit from here. In my LTS hub outside, I would run this command. Let's see if is it gonna work in there. Give me a second. I'm just doing it with you guys as well first time, so let's just run this and see. Okay, yeah, you cannot run this outside, so I'll have to just go inside. So I'll dial Warden shell, and I'll just fix this generated folders permission. So I'll do chmod -r 777 generated, and let's run the same command again. Yeah, so this command is now not running because this has a hard dependency on this. So you just copy that module name as well and put it in front. Actually, I didn't remember these modules names, so I had to copy it from the Google. But if you remember them, you can just disable these modules. Once these two are disabled, you can go to the Magento backend, create a user, and just log in simply without 2FA. So that's all for Magento installation.